Hey guys, so today I'm going to be walking you through how you can use Excel in order to figure out how much is owed on a credit card, how much you've paid in finance charges, that sort of thing. So I'm going to do two different demos. The one that you're watching right now is the basic demo, and then if you watch the next video, it'll be a little more advanced. The basic demo will show you everything you need to know. The advanced demo shows you just a little more functionality of Excel. So right here I have this kind of setup, so it has month, beginning balance, finance charge, new balance, minimum payment. And the way that we're going to be working with this is we're going to start with some kind of beginning balance, but we're not going to add any additional charges. So we're basically kind of assuming that someone buys one sort of large item on a credit card and doesn't do anything else with their credit card other than just pay the minimum payment. So that's kind of the assumption that we're going to work under. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in my months. So I have months 1 and 2, and then I want to bring this out all the way to 10 years. And Excel is smart, so if you highlight 1 and 2, it's going to notice that you have a pattern where you're just counting by 1. And then if you go to the bottom right corner of the cell till you get this little solid plus sign, and you click and you hold and you drag it down, you'll notice it kind of is counting for me as I go. I want it all the way to 120. So let's keep going. All right, we're at 120 now. So that just allowed me to not have to type all of those numbers and just use Excel's drag function. So we could choose whatever we want as our beginning balance. Let's say that we buy like a computer for school and it's $1,000. So let's do an example like that. The first thing you'll notice is that these values are not going to be formatted as dollars until we tell them that we want them to be dollars. So I'm going to just highlight all of these because everything that I'm dealing with is going to be a dollar amount. And you'll see I'm using a Mac, so this is going to look slightly different than if you're using a Windows computer. But if you go kind of up to the Home tab, you're going to see a dollar sign. You can just click on that. This is my version of the dollar sign. So if I click on that, it does two things for me. It adds a dollar sign, which is nice, and then it also rounds to 2 decimal places. Now, behind the scenes, Excel is keeping more decimal places, but what it's displaying is only the 2 decimal places. So let's say that we have an APR. Let's see, I'm just going to record it over here just so we can keep track. So we're going to do beginning balance of 1,000, APR of, let's do 17.99%, and let's do a minimum payment of, let's say 3%. Okay, so in order to calculate my finance charge, if you think about how you would do this in the calculator, all you would do is you would take the 1,000. So in Excel, I type equals to tell it that I'm going to put a formula, and then I click on the 1,000. And then I would multiply by the APR, which in my case, 17.99%. I'm going to want to write that as a decimal, so 0.1799. And then that's for the annual, that's the annual percentage rate. So if I want monthly, I have to divide by 12. That's going to be this right here. So I have a finance charge of $14.99. And you'll notice that my formula is using this cell right here. Now, in order to get my new balance, all I have to do is type equals, and then I want to add my beginning balance to my finance charge. So you could use the sum function in Excel if you want. It doesn't really do anything additional that a plus sign is not going to do because we're only adding 2 different values. If we were adding a bunch of values, it would be a good idea to use the sum function. But since we're just adding 2 values, it's pretty easy to just put the plus sign in between them. So that's going to be my new balance. And then my minimum payment is going to be found by first typing equals, and then taking my new balance, which is in D2, and multiplying by 3% to find 3%. So that's going to be 0.03. So it's $30.45 is my minimum payment. Now out of my $30.45, $14.99, so about half of it, almost exactly half, is going to go towards the finance charge, and the other half is going to go towards reducing my balance. So I have one more formula to write, and that's for beginning balance in the second month. So in order to find that, I type equals, and then I take my new balance and I subtract my minimum payment. So if you look here, I've reduced my balance by about $16, okay, 15 and some change. That's because out of my $30, almost half went to finance charge, so the other half, the other 15, went towards reducing the balance. So at this point, we have formulas for beginning balance, finance charge, new balance, and minimum payment. So all we need to do at this point is we need to copy our formulas all the way down. So there are a couple ways to do this. Probably if you're not very comfortable with Excel, the easiest thing to do is to just do it one at a time. So I'm going to start with beginning balance and I'm going to copy that down. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the bottom right corner again until you get that plus sign. And then you have two options. You can click and hold and drag, and you'll notice it's copying a formula down. We'll talk about why these are dashes in just a minute. Or, if I undo that, the other thing you can do is you can go to that bottom right corner where you have the plus sign, and then you can just double click, and it should automatically fill in your formula all the way down to the bottom of your data. So it knows that this is the last cell this is that the months are populated in, so it stops your formula there. Now, in terms of why these are blank, if we click on one of these formulas, in month 3, it's referencing month 2 values, which is good. That's what we would like it to do. However, we don't have any formulas there, so there aren't any values. So this is fine. This is not an error. This is just something that's going to happen until you're done with your copying. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to copy my finance charge formula. So I click where my finance charge formula actually is, which is this cell right here. So I click in there, and then I go to that bottom right corner and double click. And then I do the same thing for new balance, go to the cell that has the formula, double click, and minimum payment, go to the cell that has the formula, and double click. And you'll notice at that point, everything is all taken care of. And we don't have any issues with things not populating. So I can scroll all the way down and see what the situation is after 10 years. If we take a look, I think another interesting thing to add, and you don't have to add this unless it's part of your assignment, but that would be total amount paid, okay, by the actual person. So in order to get that, the first month, the total amount that was actually paid by this individual was just the $30.45. And we're talking like cumulatively, sorry, can't talk this morning, where basically month 2, you've already paid month 1, so we're going to add those two together to get the total amount that you've paid for the lifetime of the credit card. So for this one, I'm going to take my $29.98 and add the amount that I paid previously. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm just going to copy this down, so I go to the bottom right corner, double click, and this automatically fills in for me. So if you look, let's scroll down until we see $1,000 here. So if you look, after 46 months, so about 4 years, we've paid $1,000 on our credit card. So we've actually, that's what's come out of our pocket, but we still are carrying almost half of that original balance, the $500, because of the fact that we've paid finance charges all along. So our finance charges decrease over time, which is good because our balance is decreasing. However, this is monthly. So this $14.99, that's for just 1 month of borrowing this money. And then $14.76 is for the next month. So all of these things add up. Over the first year, if we look at this, if we go down here, we can see the sum. We paid $165 just in interest in that very first year, okay? So that's a lot of money. And if we look after 10 years, this is just paying the minimum payment again. We still owe $156.63 on our card, even though $1,666 has actually come out of our pocket. So we still owe almost $200 even though we've paid $1,600. So you can see how just paying the minimum payment is not necessarily a good financial decision. Anytime you have the ability to pay more than the minimum payment, you should always pay that so that it helps reduce your principal over time.